Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. Thanks for joining us for our Wednesday weather update recorded on July the 12th. High pressure is parked over Australia at the moment, and New Zealand, well, we're on the outer edges of it, meaning it's windier. Big windy westerlies around the south of Australia, moving into the South Island, but this small area of low pressure to our southeast, encouraging a colder southerly, and that's why we're seeing some snow flurries around low-ish levels of Southland and Otago, and we'll see those snow flurries moving up the Southern Alps. This map is also the temperature map, and it shows in the blue zone at sunset today we're going to be seeing temperatures around zero for a lot of inland parts of the South Island. And by the way, some places today only making it to around 3 or 4 degrees as your maximum temperature, so it will be a bit of a cold one for the lower South Island, but it's a warmer airflow or milder for the top of the country. That's why we're seeing actually a couple of heavy downpours with isolated thunder there. So we've got a little bit of snow on the way. It's not a huge amount, but this is the big picture look at it. You can see mostly through the Southern Alps and around the mountains and the ranges of the North Island. Not a huge amount for Southland and Otago, not as much as last week, and the snow level's not as low. It looks like it's going to sea level, but as I said yesterday, it's not. That's just for the hills and ranges that are next to the sea. If you take a closer look here at the lower South Island, Southland and Otago, the main areas that could be getting snow today, and as you can see, Gore, borderline for you, Dunedin up in the hills more likely, but it's more likely around central Otago and western parts out towards the mountains. So here we are for Thursday, and that cold change is still blowing up the country, but it is easing to some degree. Snow flurries will start to lift up in the South Island, but they'll continue around Central Plateau. But this high pressure zone, we were talking about this the other day, how it looks a lot like the El Nino weather pattern that we've been talking about so much for the last several months. What you see with El Nino is a lot of high pressure over Australia, and New Zealand is on the outer edges of it. This cuts out the rainmakers from the Tasman Sea though. It limits them to just a few showers, and that's really what we're seeing a lot of over the next week or so around Western New Zealand, especially in the North Island. So as we head in towards the long weekend, it's pretty much the same forecast. We're still seeing high pressure up here to the northwest. We're still seeing west to southwesterly winds around New Zealand, and that means showers on the western and southern coastlines and dry for those of you in the east. So if you're heading off to Hahei and Coromandel Peninsula or Gisborne, you can have a pretty good weekend. It should be mostly sunny and dry, but the winds might be a little brisk at times. Now on Saturday, that high remains in place, but the showers fade out to some degree around the western side of New Zealand. So drier spells for you on Saturday, with the next cold front coming into Adelaide, Melbourne and Hobart at around about the same time later on Saturday morning. By Sunday, that front's fallen apart, just a couple of showers, if that, for Sydney. For New Zealand, there's a cold front trying to move up the South Island. You'll notice that the westerly winds really increase as we go through Sunday. They'll become windier, places like Cook Strait and through the Southern Alps. And we get into next week and not a great deal of change. So if you live in the North Island and you're really over the rain, then this forecast should be a better one. Yes, still showers in the forecast, but the amount of rain being forecast dropping. And we're seeing a drier than average week coming up for the North Island for this time of the year, and most of the rain down around Fiordland and Westland where it really should be falling. So our final map for Tuesday next week shows that high has barely moved. So it's starting to show this pattern we've been talking about, that as we go through towards August and the end of July, we were likely to start to see this drier trend for the top of the country. Hard to feel it when you're getting the daily showers still, but as time wears on, hopefully you'll start to notice it is starting to lean drier for the North Island. But we've still got showers to go through and another cold change around about Tuesday, Wednesday next week, because we're not finished yet with these windy westerlies. Thanks to this high over Australia and the storms down to the south, the windy westerlies in the middle, they are going to be dominating. Not really the usual setup for this time of the year. This is a little unusual. It should be colder and not quite so westerly driven for this time of the year. That's all from me. See you again tomorrow with our final update for the week as we head into the long weekend. We'll see you then.